My name is Nancy Swenson from the UCF Center for Distributed Learning, and I'd like to welcome you to Writing a Compelling Narrative, part of UCF's Dziuban Award Workshop Series. Our intention in each of these 30-minute workshops is to provide a brief overview of a topic relevant to applying for the 2018 Chuck Dziuban Award for Excellence in Online Teaching. I would like to acknowledge the participants on site with us here in our Center for Distributed Learning offices, as well as those participating online via YouTube Live. Our online participants are in good hands with Kathleen Bastido and I as online moderators, and Jonathan Pizzo and Ariana Davis ensuring technical quality. If you have any questions during the session, please place them in the online chat window or hold them until the end if you are participating online. We have reserved time at the end of the session for questions. And the online or the face-to-face audience, I'll be coming around with a mic for the purposes of recording all the questions in the recording, for recording purposes. Please join us today in welcoming Dr. Eligibility Janowsky and Dr. Beatrice Reyes-Foster. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. No, it's too kind. It's too kind. Thank you very much for joining us live, or if you are online, welcome to you as well. My name is Eligibility Janowsky. I'm in the psychology department, and I am here with
Beatrice Reyes-Foster in the Department of Anthropology.
And we're excited to be presenting the third in the 4-part video series to help everybody get ready to apply for the Dziuban Award. Hopefully you're all actively working on that as we speak. And by that I mean teaching summer B. So a couple of maintenance things first.
Okay, so just to recap, the eligibility for this award is the award is basically full-time faculty of any rank. You have to be the original creator of the course. You have to have a quality designation. And so if you don't have quality designation in your course, we suggest you get that process going today, if possible, because it will take some time. Now, you do have to have either received or have started the process of the high quality designation. And there's been some delays at the state level, which is why there's a little bit of flexibility. As long as you have requested and started the process for high quality, your application will be considered. You have to have taught at least one online class within the past year and not have received the award in the last 3 years.
Whoop, just kidding. I forgot you had the clicker. So in terms of timeline, they want you to have completed your quality review this summer. So tick, tick. And you must have requested your high quality review by September 10th. So keep in mind that with the quality review, there might be a little bit of back and forth with your instructional designer before you get your official badge. So hence you want to have a little bit of a window to get all that completed. We also suggest that you watch our exciting video series multiple times even, if you're so interested. And then, of course, we hope that everyone will apply. The window for application is going to be September 10th at 8 a.m., and the application window will close on the 23rd of September at 11:59 p.m. As we all know, we should never have midnight deadlines because no one understands them.
So today's session is about crafting your narrative, creating the story of your application. In other words, really selling yourself. What makes you an extraordinary online teacher? And so what we'll be talking about is how do you discuss pedagogical innovation?
So this is your opportunity to sell your class, to sell your teaching as being exemplary, right? But like with everything, we want to have a window of words to do this through. So we'd ask that you keep your narrative to about 500 words. Now, having said that, we also welcome innovation in how you present your narrative. So if you want to do a video narrative or some combination of video and text, that's fine. We would just ask again that you keep that still within that 500 word script, if you will, so that everything is equivalent. And in this, we want you to focus again on that pedagogy and innovation. Everyone at this point will have received a quality designation. If you haven't gone through that process yet, it's really looking at a lot of the fundamentals that you learn in IDL 6543, those skills that your instructional designers have instilled in all of us as we graduated, right? So there's no reason to necessarily go through that aspect of it. As you start going through high quality design, they'll focus on some additional advanced design structures. But this is about what you have added to your class, right? What is it that you have done in your design that is innovative, unique? Okay, so we want to look at that faculty actions that are supporting student learning, right? So what is it that you have asked of your students, provided for your students, engaged them with? Are you using any innovative tools, right? Are there neat apps that you're using? Additional technologies? How are you using some of the technologies available in Canvas in innovative ways? Assessments. So are you having them do something super cool in your class? You want to obviously highlight some of that. And of course, engagement, right? So what are you doing to get your students excited-ish about clicking in to your class?
So the previous sessions have focused on some of the questions of engagement and assessment. And so really the primary thing to think about here is that the statement is where you sort of spell it out for your reader. How, in a descriptive way, how do you carry this out? How do you know that your students are engaging, for instance? Engaging with one another in class, with the teaching material itself, and finally with you as instructor. And so you want to make sure that you address this not only by demonstrating it in your other materials, but also spelling it out in your narrative.
Right. So the idea is that we're putting things in context. You're going to have your supplemental materials, like if you were to apply for a TIP or an excellence award, right? You're going to have those documents supporting what you're saying, but this is how you're going to put it all together. So one of the sessions previously looked at student engagement. Another one looked at this idea of learning gains. And again, you want to put this into the broader context. So for example, if it is some sort of an assessment that you have done, right? So you want to connect that to the learning outcomes that are involved in the class. This is how it is meaningful to the students, to what we hope that they learn, whether it be from the department level, from your level, from national requirements, if you're teaching in that genre, right? And this is why it's important, unique, and novel for the student. And then you would have your supporting materials to back that up. You also want to talk about the student experience. Right? So are you getting feedback from them that this has been a meaningful, amazing, wonderful experience in their eyes? That could be anything from your SPOI, right? If you're going to have that, you need to include the whole kit and caboodle, so you can't edit out the ones that you don't like. Just FYI. But, we also sometimes get those nice emails, or you see things put into reflection documents that they may have done for you. So all of that would certainly be warranted. And again, the idea behind the narrative is that you are directing us to that connection. So I know that this was useful because, as you'll see in my attachments for blah, 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 you can find all that here.
So in many ways, this narrative is a roadmap, much like that one, for your readers. So that your reader can identify your particular strategies in your narrative and then go back and look at the actual materials and see how you demonstrate it. And you want to address student engagement and learning gains. Really tell the committee where to go. Make it as easy as you can on the committee.
So again, the idea is what's making you incredible. That should be the whole focus of what it is you are writing. That I am special and unique because, and I know for some of us this can be challenging because tooting our own horn can be difficult, or it sounds out of tune when we do it. But this is your opportunity to really sell this class. And this award is different than some of the other awards we have at UCF, which are more general about teaching overall. Remember, this is about one class in particular. What have you done specifically in this class that makes it the most exceptional online class at the university?
And so one of the things that Alicia and I talked about was, okay, well, how do you showcase this? One of the challenges we have with this is that this is the first time we actually request this document in the Dziuban Award. And so it's also an opportunity to really think about what does the award mean, right? And so some of examples that we thought of, that we have seen in the past, of what makes online teaching incredible. What is that punch, that above and beyond just best practices, right? Because we already know you do best practices because you have a high quality designation. So some of the things that we thought about were persona, organization, and assignment design.
So when I think about things like award winners in the past that we've been on the committees for and we've looked at the applications of, when we've seen things with persona, it's been, for example, if you got the opportunity to see, plug, the student engagement workshop, the first one of this series, Ken talks a lot about his video persona and all the things that he did to create these kind of amazing videos for students to get to really know him. Now, just because you may not have worked with a theater background and some film crews and things like this to make your videos doesn't mean there aren't other ways for your persona to come through. So when I applied, one of the things I highlighted in my application was how I try to get my persona through to my students. And a lot of them are cat memes. I take responsibility for your PowerPoint. I apologize. But I'm okay with students thinking that I am a crazy cat person, because then they send me cat memes and they feel they can connect to me on this level, or they'll tell me that they feel I'm discriminating against them because they're dog people. And then throughout the semester, I'll be like, well, some of you complained about dog memes, so here you go. And I give them a pug meme because pugs make better memes than other dogs. Tip. So, but then they'll tell me at the end that they really feel like that was a connection for them, that they knew I was reading what they were saying because I adjusted my course as we went. I have an introduction discussion, like many of you probably do. I make it a point to respond to every single one of their posts so that they may never go back and read them, but they can at least see that I read it, I'm a person, I've seen what they have to say, and I use I use surveys and things like this throughout the semester.
Right. So the key with the persona is really making the student realize that there's a human being, that they're not learning from a computer, but they're learning from a person. Even if you, in some ways, kind of exaggerate your own personality so that it really shines through in your course. Another aspect that we have seen in exemplary courses is organization. So in this instance, that's one of the things that I have gotten really good feedback on in my own assignments is, for instance, I use a lot of graded discussions. And as you may know, with graded discussions, you have to have one set deadline. But if your discussion assignment is write an initial post and then reply within a couple of days, it's very common for students to wind up missing that part and either being late with their submission or just being extremely confused about deadlines. And so one of the things that I introduced was what I call ghost assignments, where I create a placeholder assignment for students to see so that it shows up on their calendar and they know they actually have two deadlines connected to a single assignment. Another thing that I've done that's been very successful is I have, in my online modules, I have these little, suggested time management, and I'm not even making them do it. It's just just an idea of how they can visualize their time. And so it's a Monday through Sunday. On Monday you can read this chapter, and then usually on Saturday I tell them just relax, don't do anything. And as simple as it was, the students really appreciate it, and every semester I get feedback from the students. And this is one of the things that I was told has made the course very successful when it went up for the Dziuban Award. And so organization is definitely something that will shine through to the committee.
And I will say I stole that ghost assignment idea, and it is very effective. So I plan on stealing the timeline idea. So basically what I'm looking for is what I can steal from your application.
That's true. That's true.
That
That
is,
is
that's
that is
the
what we
thing
look
that's like,
for.
oh, that's so cool. I totally am going to do that. And I thank you in advance. I will say one other thing about Persona. Amanda Groff, who was our inaugural winner, has a really interesting way of introducing her persona. She has a Flickr feed of some of the research that she's done and some of the sites that she's been on and things like this. So it doesn't have to be, you know, anything that you want to share personally about your life. Cats are easy for me because no one's ever going to see my cat. But it's a very cool way to show students that this is actually real life, the things that they're learning.
And if you have, you know, what I like to call sexy research, like if your research is just the kind of research that really draws people in, like integrate it into your online persona, because the students will see some very concrete ways in which this class that I'm taking now could one day translate into this really interesting and exciting and unusual career.
Yeah, pictures of me doing Qualtrics is not that interesting. So that's
there's nothing quite like a pictures of digs.
Yeah.
Pictures of digs are
Yes.
always so fun.
Yes.
So-
And I'll say other things with organization. When you talk about your class organization, again, move beyond the, oh, well, I use headers because that's what I was told to do in IDL, right? Again, it's the pedagogical rationale behind the organization that you're including there. And then, you know, for assignment design, things that, you know, we've seen, I love your Wordle discussion, so I'll let you talk about that.
Sure. So there's two innovations that, and I'm trying to remember if I had the photo voice before I got the award. I may not have, but there's one innovation that I know that I've been using for a few years that has been also fairly successful, and that is, again, I really like online discussions because I feel it's a way for students to engage with one another. And it also allows me to see that they are learning and applying course concepts beyond just a multiple choice exam. And so this particular assignment really meant to shake up the usual prompt where they get a question and then they just answer it. And, you know, the students really kind of, you could tell that they were sort of going through a little check mark in their head and just doing exactly what they needed to do and nothing more. And so the word cloud challenged them to think in a nonlinear fashion. And so the question, I took texts and I created word clouds with them. And then I had the students look at the texts and guess about the author and time period of that particular piece. And they knew that these were speeches. And for this particular class, of course, you can't do that in you know, a chemistry class. But for this particular class, the assignment worked quite well. And so I'm always looking for, again, things that you can steal. Innovations that will get the students to engage with the material in a different way, or will kind of challenge them to think critically beyond the kinds of typical classroom interventions that we use.
So to sum up and leave some time for questions, when you start drafting your narrative, you know, this is kind of a real basic way to kind of think about it. My teaching is awesome. And it's awesome because yada, 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 if you're a Seinfeld fan, okay? Evidence of my awesomeness in this area is seen clearly in module blah, blah, blah. So you want to direct us to the best place to look to see this amazing thing that you have created. All right. And I know I'm awesome because, and this is your opportunity to direct us to those additional resources you're going to support, because exam grades have gone up when I started using this. And, you know, here's the attachment data, whatever it is, to show the learning gain, because my student evaluations went up significantly as the result, as can be seen in the attached document. So what questions can we answer for you?
To use the mic. face-to-face. Okay, hold on. At this point, I don't see questions online yet.
Hi, thank you. Could you comment just briefly on the impact and people's expectations for how class size affects the types of innovations you tend to see from people?
So I'll say I think we've awarded this award to all kinds of class sizes. Usually what I've seen in people's explanations of what they're doing in their classes is it includes some information about that. So because it is such a large class, I don't do as much writing. I do X, Y, and Z instead. Mm-hmm. I've seen lots of different ways of doing them in other classes. It seems not so much that I've seen to be a class size issue so much as a discipline issue and how people engage their students depending on the content of the course. So what you might do what I do in my statistics class is very different than what I would do in a general psychology class or a social psychology class where it's going to lend itself more to discussion. I don't pose a lot of questions like, so how do you feel about that t-test? Pretty good, right? Discuss and reply. That's not something that I was going to have them do. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. The content is really what, although it is helpful to know something about the class being taught as well, right? Particularly when it's framed in the narrative as, this is a very large class. These are some innovative ways in which I ensure that students continue to engage with the material, despite the fact that it's very easy in a 300 to 500 person class to fall through the cracks, right? Or this class has 15 people. This is the way in which I innovate this class to create the feel of a face-to-face seminar, even though these students never get to see each other.
Any other questions?
Since one of the things that we need to show is the SPIs as a support for how much the students have improved, I assume that you need to have taught the class at least one more time after you get the high quality review, right? Because otherwise you won't have the SPIs in hand.
No. Most people that I've seen apply include their SPIs as support of student engagement, student approval, however you want to endorsement, however you want to think about it. If you watch the second of our series that talks about learning gains, one of the things that is actually brought up is that SPIs are not usually considered a measure of learning gain. You might, if I had taught the course multiple times and I had tried something new a following semester that really made, my numbers go up, I might talk about that, but it wouldn't be a deterrent to apply if you only taught it once and they happen to all love it. Great. You need to have evidence of learning gains in some other way. It could be something about comparing it to a face-to-face class that you've taught, or even looking at, I got feedback from Module 1 that said I needed to do X, Y, and Z. I made the change and I noticed a jump in quiz grades from Module 1 to Module 2, or something like that would be.
So if we got the high quality designation September, so it would be better to wait until the next year.
No, because most of the courses will not have high quality designations by the time the award opens.
Right. If I could jump in for a minute.
Please do.
Because the review process is pretty new, this time around at least, it's not possible to go through the review process and then have time to teach it completely. And so really how do I say it? The quality and high quality review process is more about your evidence of commitment to good online design. There's a little distinction between that and your teaching practices. So if you have taught an online course and you feel that you have displayed exemplary teaching practices, that's what you need to be, that's the evidence that you need to provide. And so if you have taught a course and then you decide, now I'm going to go through quality or high quality design review process, that's just demonstrating your commitment to further improve your course. So the evidence that you provide doesn't necessarily have to be after the review. Does that help? Okay. Because it's a newer process, this year it's a bit hard to do
This
that.
is Amy Janowsky, in case you
Oh,
don't
hi.
know.
I'm just jumping in here.
She's one of the team, our instructional design team leads, and she's also the lead of the quality initiative here.
And I would also just jump in here to say, if anyone is interested in getting the review process started, if you haven't yet, the Dziuban Award website, the webpage has a link that will direct you to fill out the Qualtrics form, Alicia, Qualtrics form.
Take
And
pictures.
and that will also kind of ping your instructional designer or me, and we'll get that process started.
Thank you, Amy. Apparently
I would add to that as you know, from the committee perspective, the award committee perspective, that what had been happening until now was that the committee had a rubric, and then the committee would go through every single class that was submitted and basically make sure that some very basic things were done. Like, is there a syllabus? Are office hours listed on that syllabus? You know, just really kind of painstaking things that should really be basic in any online course. You know, is this person following campus requirements and best practices? And so this is a kind of a clearinghouse. It's a way to ensure that every submission already fulfills these basic requirements. And so what we're looking for is, you know, how do you go above and beyond the basics?
we only have a few minutes left, and we have one question from the audience online. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask that question. This is the question. I often get contradictory feedback on my assignments. For example, for exam 1 in my courts course, I use a music video that shows the story of a criminal court case. Some students love this, others hate it. One said it's not taking them seriously enough. How can I devise creative assignments that will be more universally well received?
So I have to say that I work very closely with my instructional designer. And so a lot of the classrooms innovations that I have come up with, I will be perfectly honest, are in large part because of that collaborative process. That said, one of the things that we do is collect data. So we have a survey when we do something new. Like I introduced photo voice, which is a method of the students taking photographs for their discussion posts. And we had a survey where we came up with an instrument and really trying to measure, not only did they like it, but is this effective? And then we tracked it for several semesters. So I guess that what I would say is it would be good to have some firm numbers. You know, how many of your students love this idea versus how many hate it? And if you find that, you know, 80 of them love it and 20 hate it, then maybe it's not a bad idea, right? But if you find that it's 50-50, then maybe you need to revisit and kind of think about another way of including, you know, this innovation.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever anything you're going to do that is universally loved by every student in your class, except maybe extra credit that they get for clicking a button.
Yes.
That would probably be
extra credit.
universally loved. But one thing I have done in my discussions and in some of my assignments is give options of what to respond to. So that way they can kind of pick the one that fits best with their interests, and offer novelty for other purposes. And they've seemed to have preferred that to the much as they can like discussions.
Okay. Any other questions? We have about 30 seconds left.
Can I make one comment?
Sure.
Kelvin Thompson, longtime listener, first-time caller. Just maybe one parting plug. It's really difficult to disentangle design and pedagogy, right? The design and the teaching part. As Amy Denoyles pointed out a while ago, the emphasis in the Dziuban Award for Excellence in Online Teaching, not design, is on the actions that you take, not on the building that you build, metaphorically speaking, but on the lived experience, on what happens between you and your students. It is difficult, right, to completely step away from the design parts. And if there's really, truly exceptional, innovative designs like Alicia and Beatrice said, that absolutely should be part of your story. But I think what might tip you over the edge in your award submissions as you're doing this narrative is talk about what you've done and how students benefited. Tell that story, not just, hey, I did this cool stuff, strictly. And then the quality and the high quality design process, review process, deal with those design elements more. So I hope that's helpful. I just wanted to put that plug in for what you do, because you'll score higher on the rubric, I think. Probably.
Yeah, it's not so much I designed the school assignment, but this is the really cool thing my students did with this assignment. Look at this incredibly insightful discussion post that is the direct result of this thing that I created.
Okay, our time is up. We do have one person's asking about the award criteria and eligibility. I'd like to refer everyone to the Chuck Dziuban Workshop Series website, which also links to the Chuck Dziuban Award site. And all the eligibility and criteria for the award is listed there. And the recording of this session will be up there, as well as the previous sessions will be listed at the website. The next session is going to be September 7th at 1 p.m. in this room, September 7th. The award window will open September 10th through September 23rd. So the last workshop series session will be September 7th, and then the award window will open up September 10th through the 23rd. And the next session is on compiling your packet. Okay, and we thank you all for attending. We're going to be shutting off the recording at this time, and hopefully see you at the next session. Thank you very much.